You work, you labor, you are the laborer. You push the car up the hill, you show up at the factory for a million years, every cold fucking morning to every hot fucking night you work. And you dream. You dream so you can work. You dream so you can keep working, so you can stand to work, so you can stay fucking awake. You dream. You dream. I'm 69 years old. 69 years old. And you know how old I feel? I feel 69 years old. In every part of my body. Even the parts that are long gone, I still feel every year. I stand here in front of you, in front of whoever can hear and see me. Rafferty is my friend. Rafferty is a priest. Rafferty is my best friend, and he's a priest, and he's a drunk, and we've been each other's best friends since infancy. Even if we never knew each other or refused to really know each other, we are best friends. This morning, he parks his car on the hill outside our house, Felicia's and my and Jared's house. Felicia sees him from the kitchen, and I see him from the front window. And Felicia shouts to me, "Jimmy!" And I stand there. I see Raf get out of his car. I watch him. Felicia shouts again, "Jim, get the door." Jared, my son Jared, my son, my only son, my only child. When he came back from the service, from the war, the never-ending war, he should have never gone. He came back and he got a job at TD Bank in their support Eventric program. They were looking for veterans, and he got a job in risk management, risk analysis. They gave him a title, VP of Risk Analysis Data. He looked all right. He looked like he was all right, like he was happy. I got the door. The factories closed in this town. Every factory closed. All the factories in this factory town closed 15 years ago. There were no jobs, none. I'd worked at Supreme Socks Factory for 32 years, and then I didn't. What? People don't need socks anymore? I had a pension, 10 years. They expect you to die in 10 years. 10 years is a good go. 10 years is enough for anybody. Rafferty stood at the doorway. He stood there, and I stood inside, and he looked at me. He just stood there and looked at me. Earlier this morning, I picked up the paper. We still get the morning paper, the only paper. I picked it up from the front steps this morning. This article, Trump's son refused to talk to answer the congressional committee's questions. He refused. His lawyer says he doesn't have to. The committee, the congressional committee, asked him a question. He talked to his father. What was it they had said, he and his father? What was it he and his father had said to each other? He doesn't have to answer. He doesn't have to answer, and he didn't. Jared had worked at the TD Bank for a year, a full year. He was doing good. He was. He started seeing his old girlfriend, Nicole. She had 2 children by another man, and she's divorced, but he liked her, and he was seeing her, and he said he liked her. Did you ever have cancer? I'm not being a wise guy. Fucking cancer. I did. I'm a survivor. I survived. What's a lie? Anyway, but not telling the truth. You don't tell the truth, you're lying, right? You don't tell it, you're lying. Jared worked for a year. He labored at TD Bank. He went in and he worked. He was making money. He had his own apartment. But after 6 months, he said, what the hell? I don't need to live on my own in my own apartment. I could live at home. Can I live at home, Dad? And he lived here with Felicia and me. He wanted to. He worked. TD Bank was proud of their vet workers. They took his picture. They took his picture in a suit and a tie, and they put it in TD Bank. In a lot of them, they put 2 photos up, one in a suit and one in the war, when he was in the war, right in the bank. Ralph looked at me and he said, Jimmy, James, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Jared was different. I could see it. God damn, I knew. I could see it. But he kept getting up and going to work, going to work, early morning to TD Bank. Felicia had come into the living room. Felicia said, what, Raph? Jared, he said. That's all he said. And Felicia, how'd she know how? Crumbled right down to the floor. How'd she? I know what opiates are. I have had some experience with opiates, so I know what they are. Maybe some of you know what they are too. And maybe some of you don't, maybe. One night, it was real late. I'd gotten up to take a pee, and I saw that Jared's light was on. His door was closed, and his light shone under the door onto my feet. My feet so white, blue white. Shit. I'm old. I stood there with my blue fucking feet, and I didn't knock at Jared's door. There are lots of kinds of pain, a lot of different kinds of pain, lots of kinds. And then there's the pain of just living, the pain of living. Sometimes you feel the pain and you can let it go. After I got back from the hospital, I was clear, not one cancer cell in my body. But they said, maybe I'd have some pain. Fucking right, maybe. They gave me these pills, but I didn't. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to. I put the pills in the bathroom sink, under it, away in the back, and I felt the pain. Living. I wanted to feel it. Raph was talking. He was talking and I could hear. He was saying, yesterday afternoon, TD Bank, they let Jared go. They fired him. He was stealing money, and they let him go. Felicia said, no, he went to work. He went to work this morning. He left this morning and he went to work. Jared came back and he couldn't take the pain. He couldn't. One night, another night. I was standing outside his door and he heard me and he said, Dad? And I just stood there, looking down at my blue feet. And then I opened the door. Jared was crying. He was sitting there crying, sitting at the end of his bed. I can't go on, Dad. I can't see Nicole no more. I can't. He told me about his pain, my son. My only child, 39 years old. I'm not lying, Dad. I'm telling you the truth. I can't take it. I don't sleep no more. I haven't slept. It feels as if my body, my mind are fighting against me. My mind, my heart, taking me apart, taking him apart. It won't stop ever. He was shaking, he was crying, and I held his head against my chest, shaken against my chest. And I went and I got the pills. They were right where I left them, behind the stuff. I knew about it. And I gave him the pills. Raph was saying they found him in his car, Jared in his car by the side of the road on Gulf Creek Road. And they'd found him sooner if they had. And if someone had stopped and seen him, maybe they could have. So the truth is, I gave him the pills. I gave him the pills. And the truth is, maybe he was already taken them. Maybe he was. And maybe I knew that. Maybe I knew. I didn't stop him. I didn't. He was working. He was working. You have rough times, rough spots you have to get through. And the truth is, at the Supreme Stock Factory, my dreams, all my dreams I had, all the dreams were for my son to have a good life, a better life, a life of value, a different kind of life, of value, of happiness. And I keep thinking about that goddamn article. I keep thinking, Trump's son refusing to provide information and calling it a privilege, not speaking the truth, lying and calling it a privilege. And I feel like I could kill. I feel like I could kill. The feeling inside of me, calling it a privilege, it makes me, why does he get the privilege to lie? To lie. And I voted for Trump. We all did. We all did. Here, we all did. And I went and I pulled the lever for him. And my anger from the closed factory, from my spent pension, from my son going to war, from getting old, I pulled that lever and I gave him my anger. Take it. Take it out of me. Do what you want. I can't live with it any longer. I wanted him to do whatever he could. I gave it to him. Do whatever he wanted to do. And we went to the morgue, Felicia and me and Rafferty, because you have to go, because he was my son. And we looked. And he just left this morning for work, and now he's gone. Can you work? Do you labor? Do you show up and keep showing up every fucking morning, every hot fucking night? As I stand here in front of you, stand here. Whoever can hear me and see me. I looked at my son, my only son. I thought of his son, Trump's son, Trump and his son. And I thought, maybe he's laboring for his love. Maybe that's what he's working for his father's love. And maybe when they were on the phone, what they said, what the congressional committee wants to hear, maybe he was saying something so private he couldn't tell anyone else. He couldn't tell anyone but his father. Because sons do that. And no one else has to hear. No one else has to hear. No one. That's the truth. It's not good, but it's not a lie. It's not good, but it's not a lie.
Nice. Very nice.
Wow,